Welcome to my channel, Mary Bourne ND, Gardening with Granny. Happy 2026. It's a new year. Some people make resolutions and plans, and I'd sort of do that. I want to make sure that what I commit to in the beginning of the year is not so difficult that I can't follow through for the rest of the year. Because sometimes that happens where you think that that you'll be able to accomplish this goal, um, but then you get tired of it or it becomes too burdensome and you can't finish it. I like to make commitments like monthly, so or even weekly. And that way I can look back on the year and see what I've accomplished, and that works for me. So, one of the things I generally do at the beginning of the year is to look at my calendar, and you can go to Almanac, ALMANAC.com, and they and ask for the last frost date. And then you put in your zip code and they'll tell you what the proposed last frost date will be in your area. Mine is May 5th. Now, it was May 5th last year too, and I'm not sure if it'll continue to be May 5th, but I then take that date and then count back. So first of all, I count back in weeks. So like right now, this is week 20 until my last frost date. So then I will go through and do the different weeks until I get to day 50. Then I'll start counting days instead of just weeks, because that on every seed packet, it'll tell you how many weeks it can be started before your last frost date. And that's one of the reasons why I do that. It's very important to understand when seed should be sown inside, or if you can plant the seed outside, such as cucumbers. It's ridiculous to put cucumbers in a seed tray, even though you may have done it as a kid because they're fast growing. But it's important to do that one outside when the weather is warm. So you can start building your garden journal today. You can put in it what seeds you want. First of all, I go through and I have a list of seeds that are plants that I want to have in my garden. I also put a list of things I don't want in my garden. And so I can just set those aside when I'm going through to purchase seeds. I can look at the ones that I want in the garden, and there are things that I don't want to grow. I don't want to grow shelling peas. I can buy shelling peas. I can buy frozen peas for a lot cheaper than if I were to spend the time and energy to grow that in my garden. On the other hand, I like snap peas. I grow snap peas in my green stalk, and it's fun to just go out there and grab a few because I want to nibble on them. Um, Pak choi is also one that I really like. It has a pretty long season. That's the seed I start inside. Same thing with shelling peas. Now I will take some seeds and put them in a damp paper towel and put those in a plastic bag. I have a video showing how to do that. It's very simple. Some of the seeds you want to put in the refrigerator so that they have a like a cold um, germination, and then you bring them out into the warmth. That's a really good way of doing it. And I'm experimenting. For example, I collected seeds from our purple fountain grass, and I'm going to try and see if I can start them because those are really expensive. So if you find something that is expensive and you like, try to do the seeds. Now, sometimes seeds will get cross-pollinated. You won't get this, like zinnias are known for cross-pollination, and it's rare to get a zinnia plant that looks like the seed that you collected because of the cross-pollination. So some of the other things that I had a huge success with um, almost every time I planted is celery. I love celery. Last year was a really good cucumber year, not so good in tomatoes and green peppers. The year before, I had an abundance of green peppers, and I'm still working through those that are frozen and freeze dried. Speaking of which, working through, I've started the um, pantry challenge that Jessica Three Rivers Homestead initiated. And I'm not going to be filming a lot of this is what I did and how I did it type of thing, but I will come on a weekly and say what I did that week as far as using food that will go bad. So that's my goal. It isn't necessarily not to visit a grocery store, although when you're using up food on a regular basis, there's not a need to go to the grocery store unless you need like milk or the products that you use up on a regular basis. So I hope that you have a wonderful 2026. I just wanted to hop on and wish you a happy new year. Uh, let me know in the comments what you're going to do this year and um, what you learned from last year. I know that there's a lot of things that I learned from last year. Things I will grow, some things I won't grow. Um, as I get older, there's not a whole lot of digging that I can do, so I have to be very careful about that. I like to put straw on my garden to try to eliminate seeds from weeds, and that does a good job. So that I also will mulch in a lot of places with compost. So I have a composting mulch that I use. But as a whole, my gardening is changing to the high beds, like the Vigo garden and my green stalk. There's some things that don't do as well in the green stalk. Um, I like growing a lot of bush beans, and I do plant a tricolor bean in the green stalk because it's kind of fun just to go out there and pick a few for dinner. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things I can't eat um, because of my teeth, and I don't know if that's gonna change. I'm hoping that it does, that my bite gets better and I can start eating fresh things like lettuce and celery. Raw food is almost impossible. So it has to be blended up in a smoothie or some other way. Most of the time, just cooked. And there's a lot of cooked foods. I can't have nuts. So I'm hoping that, like I said, that gets better and that I can start chewing healthy food again. So I hope that your holidays were wonderful. My Christmas was wonderful. It's going to continue because our grandson-in-law wasn't able to attend the Christmas opening presents. So we'll have a special opening for him uh, coming Sunday. And what else? New Year's Eve was like, when you're older, you're not out celebrating. It was nasty weather. I prayed for those people who were out on the roads that they would be safe and sip and chat, right? It's only 10 degrees out today, but it's beautiful sunshine. So looking out the windows is one of my pastimes. As seed starting will begin in February, and that's always fun. I really enjoy that. I've been doing some test things, like I said, with the purple fountain grass, and I generally like to start anemones uh, during this and ranunculus during this time of the year because it takes a long time for them to root, and then you want to plant them so that you have blooms early in the spring. So I guess that's it. I hope I have helped you in some way. Be sure to look into counting, having a calendar and count back from the last frost date and get your plans going. We only have like 160 days of planting time. So, if something's going to take 190 days, we can't plant it here in Michigan. So it's fun to know these things and good to know them ahead of time so you don't make a mistake and try to push it. Unless you have something like a greenhouse or someplace where you can keep the temperatures warm enough that they don't freeze. So that's it for now. I will see you next week when we do another sip and chat. And I wish you a wonderful 2026.